The title of the debate is UK steel sector and the supply chains, and I want to give a perspective of the supply chains from Northern Ireland. It's always a real pleasure to follow the Honourable Lady for Newport West and Newport East, well represented by Newport today, and by every other ones as well, but to thank them for their contribution. This is an issue which is of great interest to me, because over the last perhaps month to 6 weeks, for those in my constituency, it's been the supply chains, it's been the construction sector in particular. The area that I represent is Strangford, the constituency in Northern Ireland, and I live in the Irish Peninsula, which is, over all the years that I've lived there, which is a long time, many of the companies down there are small and medium businesses. Those companies employ people locally, and they're very important to the local economy, and the supply chain of steel has become critical for them over the last period of time. And that's the high price of the material, which others have referred to. Steel was one that was mentioned to me by two companies who are in contract to build homes, and who price for £150 per square foot of finished steel, and are now looking at an increase of £200 per square feet, a third of an increase. This will cripple the construction industry and will undoubtedly have an impact not only upon the construction sector in my constituency and those small and medium businesses, but also on the jobs. So it's very important. In 2020, the UK steel sector contributed some £2 billion to the UK economy in terms of gross value added, and this was equivalent to 0.1% of the total UK economic output, and 1.2% of manufacturing output as well. There are some 1,100 businesses in the UK steel industry, and the industry supported 33,400 jobs in the UK in 2019. 0.1% of all the jobs that are in that sector are quite substantial. But on top of that, you have all the other construction sectors who are tied into that as well. I know that the construction men told me it wasn't just the price of steel, it was the price of wood, it was the price of piping as well. But steel is critical for the strategy for going forward, especially as we come out of coronavirus and COVID-19. In 2019, the UK produced 7 million tonnes of steel, China produced 986 tonnes, the EU produced some 157 tonnes of steel, 8% of the world total. So the UK was the 8th largest steel producer back at that time. The differential in the alliance is clear, and there must be what we work to change. For a nation who was once, our great nation, was once the industrial force of the world, we must return to self-reliance, and for this our government, I believe, and the Minister in particular, must invest to enable us to produce our own steel, and at the top of this must be government contracts are bound only to buy British steel. As the Honourable Member for Aberavon referred to, and he referred to the MOD contracts, and I'm aware of those right away. I mean, Swedish steel, they build their ships. Why wasn't it our steel? And that's a question that he asked, it's a question that I ask as well. We know that COVID has a role to play in terms of shipping and raw materials, with shipping companies raising prices massively. For example, the cost of a shipping of a 40-foot container from Asia to Northern Europe soared from £1,061 in summer 2020 to more than £5,873 in May 2021. The increase is astronomical. That's even more than a third. That's a significant and sometimes an unbearable factor. However, the question must be asked, where are the containers, and is this price rise justifiable in the long term? I don't believe it is, so that's why I look to the Minister and to my government to how we can address this issue. And I put to the Minister that in any strategy considered looking into the increase of shipping, which is affecting every product on the shelves, and every product on the construction site must be a priority. I'd be interested to gauge the Minister's opinion and indeed what governments do to tackle this cost, which is putting small business into bother at a time that we must be rebuilding. I quote from one builder who said to me, "How can we rebuild after COVID, Jim, when I literally can't afford the rebuilding materials? What happens to his team members whilst I negotiate contracts with developers to cover the astronomical price increases?" These costs are going to hit the construction sector, and these false prices will have to fall, and there will be some crash when it does. House prices in my constituency have risen by 20%. I finish with this. We can see at first hand the cost of relying on others when we had the finest steel industry in the world. We can and indeed must return to this and provide jobs and a quality product. And it's time for government to once again put steel into our backbone in our country and back our own, right here in the great United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, better together.